Today's the day. Kingdom Cup tournament. Today is also the first day of May, which means Kingdom Cup is over, and Nightmare Cup is taking its place. So May's themed cup is Nightmare Cup. It includes dark, fighting, and psychic type Pokemon with, for the first time, some specific bans. Medicham, Sableye, and legendary or mythical Pokemon are all banned from Nightmare Cup. And honestly, it makes the whole meta a little bit more balanced and helps save on some candy and Stardust costs for potential, legendary Pokemon are really expensive to unlock second moves. Medicham and Sableye both need to be maxed out in order to be used in PvP, so it saves you some dust and also helps balance things a little bit. Also happening this month are the first regional tournaments for the Silph League Arena. Those invites should be going out very soon, and if you do get invited to a regional tournament, you can check the map. The link is down in the description. There's a map of all regional tournaments that are being hosted worldwide, and I'm happy to say that I will be heading down to South America for a couple of tournaments. I'll be in both Argentina in Buenos Aires and in Chile in Santiago for the regional tournaments for Silph League Arena later this month. So stay tuned. Big things are happening with the Silph League Arena. It's an exciting month for the arena. I've already done a ton of Nightmare Cup practice battles. I'm very excited about that. We have regionals coming up. Invites should be going out soon. But for now, Kingdom Cup. And for the voiceover that I'm going to do, the commentary on the battles, I'm going to focus more on general strategy rather than like Kingdom Cup specific strategy. So you should still be able to get some very useful information out of this. Enjoy. It's a nice shirt. So I'm here in Tucson, kind of in the shade, trying to stay in the shade as much as possible. I have an egg hatching, but more importantly, we got a Kingdom Cup tournament right inside. That's a terrible egg. How's it going, man? Playing in the tournament today?
Yes, I am.
All right, I've made some changes to the team. I've made a few adjustments. I'm going with a little bit more meta team. Actually, there's a lot of Pokemon labeled here, but I'm thinking I'm probably definitely bringing Lapras, Altaria, and Lucario this time, but I'm going to settle it right now, inside. We are 100% going to include some of these matches in the video. The reason that I don't often include them, or haven't been recently, is just because it takes so long. It makes the video so long. So, we'll include some highlights from this one, for sure. Cheers!
Here, get checked in, we'll get started, okay? Alright.
Surprise. Yo.
Would you be able to sign my hat for me?
For sure. 2 minutes till the tournament starts, and I'm not the only out-of-towner here. Jackie's here.
Yes.
Holly's here doing some trades. Tom is here as well. So, there's actually some pretty serious competition here. So since rankings are live, when you're looking at a tournament page now, you can actually see who's participating and where they're ranked. And I'm pretty low ranked for this tournament. There's actually, so check this out. If you click on a player, you can see, look at this, number 817 globally. Pretty serious. You can also see their past tournament performance and teams. So I was kind of sussing them out. Make sure I have some counters ready. Got also number 598 global rank. Remember, I'm 17,000, so yeah. Alright, so here's what I'm going with. Here's what I settled on. I replaced half of my off-meta team with some of the more core Pokemon. Still not using Bastiodon, but I subbed in Lucario, Lapras, and Altaria. And it's my first time using the shiny Altaria. So, hopefully I can do a little better this time. So for round number 1, we're gonna jump straight to, I'm gonna take these off. We're going to jump straight to the second battle. I'm leading with Lapras. Lapras is a pretty safe lead in Kingdom Cup because it wins a lot of lead matchups. This, unfortunately, is one of its worst matchups, so you see me immediately go for the switch and kind of miss it, but switch to a counter, and we already have Power Up Punch coming, which deals almost no damage to Altaria. Altaria basically just gets to free farm against Lucario, so my opponent switches, smart play, to Bastiodon, which is, that's a smart switch. Maybe I would have switched a little sooner. Typically when an opponent switches a counter in on you, you want to follow that switch as quickly as possible so that you don't lose any momentum, so that you don't waste any energy or lose any potential damage. But you'll see here, even though I had a bad lead matchup, I'm still able to bring it back and win this match here. So Bastiodon goes down, but because he switched to bring that Bastiodon in, it's going to go down immediately to my Lucario's counters because he can't switch out for another 30 seconds or so. I do need to shield here because it's Flamethrower. Be aware of what moves your opponent has or what moves they can have, because, yeah, Flamethrower would have hurt Lucario a lot as a super effective move. Here I'm using Power Up Punch, even though I could have finished him off with counter. I do get the 1 extra shield out of it, plus I get the attack buff. With Power Up Punch, you kind of want to be using that pretty frequently, and that's going to go for Nightmare Cup as well if you're using Lucario or Poliwrath or Hitmonchan. There are a lot of Pokemon that can use Power Up Punch in Nightmare Cup. So that's definitely something that you want to keep in mind. Power Up Punch gets better the more times you use it. So just spam it as fast as possible in most cases. Here we have Dragonair and Lucario, again, already buffed. Look at how much damage counter is dealing. No shields left. I think it's probably Aqua Tail here, which is almost enough damage, and then the quick attack will finish me off. So I'm still down here. I have a disadvantage in the number of Pokemon remaining, but because it's Lapras, and I've already taken out his Bastiodon, the last threat here is going to be likely Lucario. But I do have Surf ready to go for that. And I should have done it right away. I should have been using Surf and not waiting to see what Pokemon it was. That's something you got to remember as well, is what Pokemon do your opponents have. Because had I taken 1 second longer, another counter would have KO'd me. But that's it. That's it for round 1. That's a win.
Okay.
Alright.
That was a much better reaction than I could have expected.
Act like we're battling? Yeah.
If it's not a rule, it's okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
Match 1 with Pokemon Master Holly, and I just realized this isn't on. So it's just camera audio, but we both lead Lucario. Looking at her team, I think maybe Lapras could have been a safer lead, considering she has both Charizard and Altaria as Lucario counters. But I did manage to get, I had charge move priority there, which is, it's risky to stay in a lead matchup like Lucario versus Lucario, where they're both going to go down so quickly. If you know you have charge move priority, it's a safer bet. And honestly, I like to play out mirror matches in the lead, because if you switch, if you're the one who switches out of the mirror match, you're giving up switch advantage there. So we just kind of play that out, both lose our Lucarios quickly, and then it's a 2v2 for the rest of the match. She brought in Charizard since I did KO first, and since I was able to bring in Lapras after that Lucario KO, I take it down quickly. And we actually talked after this match, and what Holly should have done there was immediately, as soon as she saw my Lapras, switch Charizard out, since she still had a switch available. Now I could have followed that switch. What is my third Pokemon? It's probably Altaria. I could have followed that switch, but it wouldn't have been an ideal switch for me, so we would have been stuck again in a Lapras versus Lapras mirror match. And now you can see the difference here between our moves. I'm using Surf. No, wait. Sorry, that's a different match that I'm thinking of. So Holly's using Ice Beam in this one. Surf is still a little bit faster, so I'm able to get my damage off a little quicker than she is. But again, you'll see the difference that moves can make in a mirror match, both here and in another match that's coming a little later. So my Lapras goes down, but then I still have Altaria left, and with just a little bit of HP, luckily I have the 1 shield for the Ice Beam. With just a little bit of HP left, Altaria should finish this off pretty quickly. And there it is. GG Holly. Match number 2 with Holly. I go for the Lucario lead again. This time she leads Charizard, and you'll see me immediately switch Pokemon. Nope, there it is. There it is. Gotta be careful with your switches. So again, I switch Lapras, and we talked about it here. She should have switched immediately again, just to counter my switch. Because if your opponent switches to a counter, and you don't switch, you're essentially giving up switch advantage. Your opponent gives up switch advantage by switching first, but if you don't take advantage of that by then switching to your counter, it's like switch advantage didn't even exist in the first place. So she loses Charizard there, and that could have been avoided by switching in Lucario immediately when I switched Lapras. Just remember that. If your opponent switches, most of the time you want to switch right away to follow. So her Lucario is going to take down my Lapras, and really quickly, but I was able to get one Surf off. But you see how quickly Lapras is going down. She could have avoided losing Charizard so early had she switched in Lucario right away there. So now, oh, she does have the one power-up punch. Luckily I switched Altaria here, and not Lucario. And I mean, luckily I chose to switch Altaria there because it's going to take almost no damage from Lucario. And now we're in a mirror match situation here where I have both shield advantage and an additional Pokemon. So she's going to go for probably the Sky Attack since Dragon Pulse wasn't ready yet. I'm going to hit back with the Dragon Pulse since she has no shields left. I can just go for the straight damage in this one. And that's a GG.
Oh my god! It's us!
Okay.
I hope the team I just used last battle works this one, so.
I should have watched your last battle.
Match 1 against Jackie. I'm leading Lapras, she's leading Lapras. Take a look at this. This is where you'll see how important moves are in a mirror match. We're both using Water Gun. And you'll see I get to Surf first here. It's a lot of time to kill between moves. And instead of reciprocating immediately with the Surf, you'll see that I almost get to another Surf before Jackie gets her move, and it's Blizzard. Now, even though Blizzard has higher damage per energy than Surf, because I'm able to use Surf twice in the time it takes to use Blizzard once, essentially, Surf actually ends up dealing more damage over the course of this battle. And you'll see I'll actually get to a third Surf before Jackie gets to a second Blizzard. So again, even though Blizzard has higher damage per energy, the higher energy cost makes it less efficient in this battle, where I use Surf 3 times and she only uses Blizzard once. Now she brings in Lucario. I already had my switch window up ready to go because I was expecting a counter to Lucario. So I was able to switch Altaria right away, a counter to Lapras. I was able to switch Altaria in right away, again, because I was prepared for that, because I had the window up and ready to go. So we're just kind of going to play this out, maybe speed it up a little bit. Now Jackie brings in Altaria, and I'm just going to keep going at it. Altaria versus Altaria. I do have energy advantage here because I've been in the battle for a while, and now I know she's going to get her next move long before I do. And in that situation, I think because you're in a mirror match, you can kind of keep an eye on the energy that you're charging. I don't think she needed to use her Sky Attack that quickly. She could have saved that Sky Attack and just finished me off with Dragon Breath. So watch your energy compared to your opponent's energy, especially in mirror matches, and you can see, or you can estimate a little easier that way, where they're going to be with their energy and how close they are to getting their charge moves off. I do have a shield here. I'm going to use it, obviously, because it's going to keep me alive long enough to win this match. GG. Right, match number 2 against Jackie. It's a Lapras mirror match again, and we know exactly how this goes because I have Surf and she's using Blizzard. So at this point, instead of letting me get another Surf, Jackie switches out to Lucario. I follow switch immediately with the switch to Altaria, so I still retain advantage there. Again, I probably would have just let that match play out, and then she could have brought out her Lucario when her Lapras fainted, and then I would have either let Lapras faint or switched to counter there, but then she could still switch because she brought her Pokemon out as a response to fainting, and I brought mine out as a switch. So if your Pokemon is about to faint, you're better off letting it faint rather than switching. If you let your Pokemon faint, then your opponent... if you let your Pokemon faint, then you can bring in a counter to what your opponent is currently using. If your opponent switches to get out of that bad matchup, then you can still switch to counter that switch. See what I'm saying? Let your Pokemon faint when it's that close to fainting. Just let it go. Unless it has energy charged up and you know you want to save it for something, you're going to need it later on. You know, it's probably a good idea to just let it faint so that you don't have to use or give up switch advantage. Anyway, it's Marowak. That's where we are in this battle. I shield here. I think I shield here, yeah, because I wasn't sure if she was going to have Fire Blast ready, but it's just Bone Club, so I probably didn't need to shield. But anyway, just in case that Bone Club damage would have been enough, and maybe it would have, just get a quick Surf in there, finish off that, and then you see Lapras come back with very little health. And I actually almost managed to get a Surf off. I thought I got that one off. I guess not. But it's Lucario. 2 counters, even though she had a shield left. Finished it off with no charge move damage. Next up, round 4. This is my match against Fugus, who actually invited me to the tournament originally. So, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. So you see me lead with Lucario, he leads with Altaria. I do have to switch that, and then he rightfully switches to Lucario to counter my Lapras here. I have a Surf ready, so I'm going to get some shields out of it. But again, this is a pretty bad matchup for me. You can see how quickly counter is just taking me down. This power-up punch would have KO'd me. I decide to use a shield to stay in and get a little extra damage, because I know I can get one more Surf off before I go down. So I either deal a significant amount of damage or at least get the second shield. So now he has no shields. Lapras goes down, and you see me right here. What I'm going to do is not switch right away, because I already used my switch. These 12 seconds that you have to choose a Pokemon will actually count towards your switch timer. So if you milk the clock there, you see the switch timer, or if you back it up a little bit, you'll see the switch timer continued. And now, look at that. My switch is back up, and I didn't even have to spend, 10 of those seconds in battle. So if your switch timer is on cooldown and your Pokemon faints, just milk the clock a little bit. Let the time run so that you can replenish your switch timer. And now, look at that, it worked out perfectly because Bastiodon comes in and I have my switch ready for Lucario. If I hadn't milked the clock there, maybe I wouldn't have been able to switch. I think in this case I would have, but there are definitely some cases where it's going to make all the difference just letting those 10 or 11 seconds run out before choosing your Pokemon. How's the rest of this playing out? Yep, it's Shadow Ball. Since he has no shields left, I can use Shadow Ball rather than Power Up Punch, and Shadow Ball with an already powered up Lucario is just punishing. So there it is, coming back from a bad lead matchup and winning with 2 Pokemon left. Next match, we're going Lapras into Steelix. Great matchup for me, definitely not something I'm worried about, so we're just going to play it out. Water Gun Surf is going to take Steelix down pretty quickly. Here he's going to have Crunch, so I'm not shielding. It's not going to deal much damage at all. Just finish him off with Water Gun. And what's next? It's Lucario, so I switch immediately, hopefully remembering that I have Surf charged up and ready to go, so I know that when I bring Lapras back in, that is there. That's something I need to practice. It's a good thing to keep track of, is where your Pokemon's energy is at when you switch them out, because it can make all the difference. If you know you have a charge attack ready to go, you can switch that Pokemon back in a matchup that might not be favorable on just quick moves, but if you have your charge attack ready, could change the way the battle goes. So we have Altaria versus Altaria. I'm leading here. He still has 2 shields left. So do we get a shield? Yep, get the shield. And then it's pretty even, but I still managed to come out slightly ahead. So final match, Lucario versus Altaria. It's a half HP Lucario. And at this point, I don't need to milk the clock here. I think I was just kind of deciding. Lucario versus Lucario. Obviously, a half-health Lucario is not going to win the matchup. Here, even with 1 shield remaining, counter will be plenty of damage. That was really close. Oh, he was powered up. He did have 1 power-up punch. So, close matchup.
So I just want to check in here. It's about to be the final round. I am undefeated. I'm going to be going up against one of these two, Mudkipped or Beef Jerky. And,
Yeah, 49, your beef is ready.
I'm doing a lot better with the meta lineup here. I actually haven't really deviated from my standard Lapras, Lucario, Altaria so far. So it's been working out, but I still have those. They're on my team technically. Does it count if I don't use them at all? I haven't needed to yet. I haven't dropped a single match with Lucario, Altaria, Lapras. So I'm feeling pretty confident heading into the finals, but we'll see. I think these guys are two of the, well, obviously two of the better players here, but two of the higher ranked players who are in this tournament today. Let's see who it's going to be. This is it. Finals. Here's my opponent, Mudkipped. He's got a Mudkip with him. And I was actually looking at your like trainer card and your history ahead of the match.
That purple name brings
ranked.
a lot of people.
Yeah, so you've won a tournament prior, a Kingdom Cup, and then I think second place in another one?
Yeah, second place in another Kingdom Cup.
Okay. Well, let's see how this one goes.
Let's get it.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Finals, Game 1. It's Altaria versus Lapras. So I get the lead advantage here. I'm using Surf. My opponent is well aware that I'm using Surf because I got it off that quickly. So he doesn't need to shield. He knows that. Sky Attack deals a good amount of damage to Lapras. So this time I'm going for Ice Beam. But I'm hoping that he... Oh, yep, I had to shield there. We tied, and I think at this point, because I took a little longer to charge up there, he's going to know that I'm using Ice Beam. The smarter play, I think, would have been to charge up until I had Ice Beam ready the first time, but use Surf as a bluff then. So if you want to bluff a move, charge up until you have that move ready, but then use your lower cost move. So now here, as a response, he's going to bring in... So he brings in Charizard. I had my switch window ready to go, but obviously decided not to switch because that would have been a terrible switch. Altaria wins this matchup, whereas Lucario would have lost horribly. Dragon Claw, need to block it. It's going to be a decent amount of damage. He's switching now, so now I can switch in response. And a counter is going to make quick work of Empoleon. Wow, Waterfall does a surprising amount of damage too, though. Not going to lie. Empoleon's a cool Pokemon. And now with my powered up Lucario, I still faint. But I can finish it off with this Sky Attack ready to go. GG. Game 1. Game 2, it's Lapras versus Altaria. Again, same lead matchup. Same advantage here, so we're going to play it out. It's going to look pretty similar. This time, you can see him tapping on Ice Beam, waiting for Ice Beam, and then he switches to Bastiodon. So I'm going to switch immediately to Lucario, and this is something I would advise against in a tournament, in competitive play. Don't switch in a Pokemon with a double weakness, especially a double weakness to a type that you know is very common, that's always going to be used. Because by switching in Bastiodon, you're essentially giving it up. Because I can switch in Lucario. Lucario is just going to, yeah, look at that. Crush it. Destroy it. And there's nothing you can do because you used your switch to bring it in, you can't switch it out. But here my opponent is milking the clock. Just letting that switch timer run down. As soon as he switches in, I'll go for Power Up Punch just to get the boost here. And I can't switch out. My switch timer is still running. Keep in mind you are letting your opponent's switch timer run down as well by, milking your own clock. But I'm going to keep going for the power-ups. Just kidding. I went for Shadow Ball. I went for Shadow Ball. It was a good move, too. That one might have needed a shield. And then Lucario goes down, but it's already 2 Pokemon to 1. I have no shields left. Dragon Pulse will hurt, but not enough to finish it off.
It's Dragon Breast. No, no, no! The 2-0.
Good game.
Ah, good game.
So as a tradition, you get to hold the cup. Yes. And as a special prize, you get to take this home with you. Speed.
I actually have room for it in my bag.
Who's bougie?
All right. These guys are doing an open Great League tournament here, which would be pretty good practice considering regionals. The format is pretty close to the open Great League meta, but we have decided to get some rest since we're all still pretty jet lagged, and we've got a walk in the heat a little later.
All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the Kingdom Cup. I'm glad I was able to redeem myself after my poor off-meta performance in Singapore. So maybe this weekend I'm going to try to do a Nightmare Cup stream. We'll do some practice battles for Nightmare Cup, and also for regional tournament meta, which is any Pokemon that was eligible in the first 4 cups. So there's a lot of types there. So stay tuned. Live streams coming for PvP. And until then, oh, there's a Groudon. There's a legendary lunch hour tonight at 6 p.m.? Let me double check. Yes, tonight, May 1st from 6 to 7, there is an unannounced, unscheduled legendary dinner hour. So every gym will have a legendary raid egg from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. So if it's not 6 p.m. for you yet, go out at 6 p.m., do some raids. Good luck with the shinies.